Now, how about we talk about how the subject is taught and run, the teaching and learning strategy. The subject objectives, I think I mentioned them before, but the objectives is to understand and describe the factors that affect the architectural context and requirements, including stakeholders, their interests, architecture qualities, business requirements, and usage scenarios. You should be able to do that. You should be able to develop and refine multiple views of software systems architecture based on the conceptual, execution, and implementation architecture. So you must be able to develop and reason about those different views of an architecture. You will be able to understand the key issues in choosing and implementing architectural patterns, including performance, testing, security, usability, maintainability, and reliability concerns. So how do you build an architecture so it favors one or the other as is required to do? You should be able to reason about alternative architectural designs to satisfy system quality attributes. As I mentioned before, architecture is not seldom ever a single clear answer. There usually are trade-offs in the system. Now, how do we teach this subject? Well, the subject is a collaboration between you and me, or you and your tutor and me. And my role is to help you learn. My role is not to learn it for you. I already know it. The thing is, I need to get you to know it. I need to induce you to learn. Now, if you want the skills, you must do the work. Start with the steps in the process of developing software architecture. And each step has a tutorial and an assessment. So that's what we'll do for the first half of the term. Then you get a project as a group, and you put together your own project. You develop an architecture independently of me. Now, lectures. Questions often I've been asked a few times is, where are the lectures? Well, the lectures are online. They're on videos, and they've been recorded, and they are sitting up there on YouTube. They're publicly available. They're also referenced through UTS Online, so they're quite an easy reference to them. But I hasten to add, I'm not the only person who has lectures on software architecture up there on YouTube or in blogs or in whatever other means. Now, the lectures and the knowledge is pretty much the same, and so far as I can tell, most people who are teaching software architecture teach much the same things, which is no surprise. So you're free to get the information from wherever you prefer. There is a lot more knowledge out there than I can comprehend or that you can know. So there's plenty of it about. Now, I can guide you to some good sources and help you to make sense of it. So that's my lectures. I'm not inventing anything. I'm simply pulling together the information that's already available and presenting it to you to say, here is what the industry generally thinks. The tutorials have become the main focus of learning. You can read a book in your own time. You can watch a lecture in your own time. There's no point in everybody coming onto campus for 2 hours to listen to me talk. You can do that in your own time. So you come here for tutorials, and that means the tutorials have to focus on practice. Practice. How do we do something? You can't come to a tutorial and simply sit and listen. The whole idea is the tutorials should involve you in doing something, to think about something, to answer something, and that's what the tutorials will strive to achieve. We try to make them much more interactive and much more interesting. Try to get them going so that you can exercise your knowledge and reasoning about architectures. So that's what we'll do. And after the basics of software architecture has been covered, we can explore some of the current architecture concerns. Now, the basics will be covered in the first half of the term. Now, each tutorial will focus on the scheduled topic, and generally that's pretty easy because we'll have one on the context, and we'll have one on the conceptual architecture, execution architecture, implementation architecture, and so on. They break up quite neatly into different topics. and we'll focus on one topic at a time. The tutorial will assume that you know the topic. All right? The tutorial is not a place where you get the knowledge. The tutorial is a place where you test, try the knowledge, embed the knowledge. You will have taken the quiz for that topic before you get to tutorial. Now this year the class is taught on 2 different days, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will close the quiz off at the start of the second tutorial. So at 5 o'clock Thursday the quiz shuts down and it does not reopen. More about that later. In the tutorial I'll try to present questions to the class for discussion, and once the table is discussed a bit, we will go around the room and try and find some answers and see what kind of different answers, interesting answers, amusing answers, better answers, thoughtful answers. We'll see what answers we can get so that we can have a good coverage of the topic. Now it's very much like going to a gym. It only works if you turn up and do the work. All right? You're kind of like you're trying to achieve a different level of performance, and you're just not going to do that if you don't do any work at all. So in the tutorials you get to do the work. Please do that. It helps. I see it year after year. Lectures and quizzes. As I said before, to participate in the tutorials you must know the topic. Each lecture has a quiz to encourage you to learn the topic. The quiz will close when the last tutorial for the week starts. That happens to be 5 o'clock on Thursday. Now, because the whole point about the lecture and the quiz is to encourage you to learn about that topic before the tutorial, there is no chance that the quiz will reopen after the tutorial has been run. It doesn't matter whether you enrolled late, you missed it, you forgot, or your internet connection broke, or whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. The quiz will not reopen. So take them early and get them done. Elective topics also have quizzes, but because the elective topics are do them pretty much in your own time, and there's no particular sequence to them, those quizzes will stay open for all of the second half of the term, and they will shut down on the last day of term. So midnight Friday, I think it's October 11 or something like that.